guys, we're back for another Dokkan battle video. So I never quite got around to getting the video out for GT Final Form Frieza. I think that the GT Cell and Frieza are pretty middling characters. Maybe if we're to fight like a strong int enemy, maybe I could give GT Frieza a run, at least on like GT bosses, but I mean, these characters just weren't really made, I think, very good. Again, GT Frieza or the GT Cell. We'll take a look at him though. We'll see how effective he could be. At least get his numbers up, get the video up. Right now, we're gonna move into a little bit of a slow period for Dokkan, so I could catch up on some showcases for some characters I have to catch up on. There's still a few World Tournament video showcase characters I didn't get done from the last World Tournament, and plus, you know, World Tournament Rewards will be out later tonight. So there's a lot of other characters like LRP Loth I'll be able to get, and we'll do videos and content on a lot of these characters, right? So, alright, I just gave Frieza dodge. The thing about GT bosses characters are so ass that, like, I don't even think the strongest anti-dodge person would have to relent that, like, GT bosses is so bad, you just have no chance, usually, unless these characters are Hail Mary dodging all over the place, right? There's not really, it's not much deeper than that, I would say. Alright, guys, so we get this first opening rotation right here. I guess let's just see what Frieza's got to offer us, right? I mean, let me not judge him too fast, although he should have very similar performance to what GT Cell was doing. So Frieza's link set here, we have Prodigies, Universe's Most Malevolent, Shocking Speed, Strongest Clan in Space, Nightmare, GT, and Shattering the Limit. Okay, sure. Frieza, in terms of his super attack effect, is getting 30% defense for 1 turn, supreme damage, high chance to stun. High chance to stun is certainly useful. I mean, that makes me think, you know, we could get some usability out of this guy potentially in Battlefield and definitely in Super Battle Road, right? 2 key, 150% to stats. Gets another 100% attack and defense on Super, and an additional Super if all allies are GT boss, sworn enemy, or revenge. The way it works is even the stats on Super are if the entire rotation is that, so you better damn make sure that the entire rotation is GT boss, sworn enemy, or revenge, or else the character is unrunnable, right? Without the multiplicative buff active, I mean, this is not, we're not in 2017 anymore, right? Like, yeah, we have to have that up. And then finally, he gets an extra 150% attack and super effective against all types if the enemy is sealed. So, alright, we're at 167k defense right there. Remember, he's going to get 100% from his passive and then 30% from his super attack effect. Listen, I mean, this is a sub-EZA, so certainly I don't want to go like, oh my god, super crazy, like, I'm so filled with rage. Well, I mean, I say sub-EZA, but you guys understand the context. Like, him and Cell, like, they have, and the GT Goku, the Dragon Fist Goku, they have their own EZA, but these are still, like, sub-EZA characters, right? Sub-EZA, like, power level type characters. I don't think it's wise to have ridiculous expectations for what they can do, right? Like, it's not like, oh my god, Frieza's not at 1.5 million defense. Well, it's just unacceptable, ridiculous, right? Like, it is a sub-EZA character, man. A lot of times, free-to-play characters are better than these sub-EZA level characters, so I gotta understand that. But at the same time, Frieza's a GT bosses character, right? Now, why Frieza's GT bosses? Dude, it's so stupid. GT Frieza and GT Cell are GT bosses characters, but Hellfighter 17 is not. It makes no sense, because Hellfighter 17, I go over every time, is the one actually controlling Super 17's mind, you know, for the majority of the fight until Android 18 shows up towards the end, right? So it makes no goddamn sense that Hellfighter 17 is not on GT bosses. So it just creates ridiculous nonsense. Alright, well, Broly is now sealed, so we're going to be able to see a little bit more in terms of damage from GT Frieza right here. Remember, we're going to get the extra 150% attack, as well as the super effective against all types. He's at 175 here, so again, remember, he's going to super attack, he's going to get an 100%, so it's, you know, going to double. Then he's also getting the 30% from his super attack effect right there. I think that this Frieza could be usable with type advantage, right? And I say this just because, like, GT bosses is just loser central. I don't know. I feel like the GT boss is kind of, like, it's actually just, it's criminal. It's criminal what Dokkan has done to some of these characters. All right, so I know we get the 9 million attack stat right there, and you go, oh, okay, 9 million plus super effective against all types. I mean, he's got a little juice right there. But here's the thing about him doing this, right? By the way, this additional is guaranteed right there. Remember, that comes guaranteed if the whole rotation is GT boss, sworn enemy, or revenge. But it's that big attack stat right there is only because the enemy is sealed. So I'm glad the first turn the enemy was not sealed, so we were able to see what happens when they're not sealed. But when you're in a really tough fight against where it really matters, you're not going to be able to seal the bosses or stun the bosses or anything like that. So characters with those types of abilities, it doesn't really work too well. And I mean, unfortunately, that's the way Omega is kind of built too. Like, it's like they think it's actually 2016, right? Like, I mentioned it's not 2017 anymore. It's like these GT bosses characters with all the debuffs and shit like that, they're built as though it's like 2017, right? Like, Omega, we would have loved Omega back in 2017 and 2016 to help out AGL Super Vegito, right? Like, remember, people were running the R Oceana Shenron, this character right here. People were running this Oceana Shenron, literally a rare character back in the day to seal the boss for Super Vegito, right? So it's like, you know, these types of abilities would have been way good way back then. This one right here, people ran this character, seriously. Like on AGL teams led by Super Vegito, right? And then not just Oceanus, but people also ran Ninja Murasaki as well, right? Because he also was a sealing character. So it's like, you know, we would have loved all these types of abilities in 2015 and 2016 and 2017, not 2023, man. My God, Dokkan, please. All right, we might just make this the last rotation. I mean, there's not too much I could sit here and show from GT Frieza, right? Like, we saw a rotation of him, you know, without the boss being sealed. You know, listen, if we don't have a full rotation of GT boss, sworn enemy, and revenge characters, for GT Frieza is actually coming out with like a 1.8 million attack stat with like 200k defense or something like that. Like, it's abysmal, right? Like, remember the defense we're seeing at the start of turn, that would be Frieza's defense plus the 30% on super attack effect, right? Just, again, beyond abysmal is the numbers we'd be getting. So, here we go. Here was GT EZA Frieza. I think that maybe, like, him and the GT Cell and stuff like that, like, maybe they could be a bit useful in, like, a very niche or specific situation. So right here, I mean, we did do triple 9 million super attacks that were all super effective against all types. So it's like Frieza did decent damage there for a sub-EZA level character, sure, but I mean, it's going to be a very specific situation where we could actually take advantage of using this Frieza in a serious fight, right? Like, we're not just dusting off Frieza in, like, all these different fights and be like, yeah, go ahead, Frieza. Now, we might as well throw out Omega's active right here, huh? I mean, this is not super common in videos and stuff like that I could actually get this. So, sure, let's just go ahead and drop Omega Shenron's active skill and get his very rare KO screen right here, too. Bam! Okay, so yeah, again, this is a very rare sight to see. It sucks, man. I wish Omega was better, and I wish they could have done things so much differently, man. Omega, if Omega was a character we could just run on all these, like, god damn it, they should have just made him the king of the game and just made him, you know, versatile like Bulma. Like, I just could imagine, like, if Omega was just like villain Bulma, the impact he would have for old Turles and Mid Jr. and the Coolers and the Zamasus and LR Goku Black. Like, oh my god, why did they do that? They actually dropped this, and they, god damn it. Look at this team. Do you know how bad this team is? Again, it's 2023. Why? Why do they do? They're trolling, man. There's no way. They're trolling. They're trolling. Last point I wanted to make before we just look at Frieza's details. So this, I never, even the day this GT Frieza and Cell came out, I was never a fan. Go back, pull up those videos from way back in the day. I was always saying what I'm about to say right here. I actually like the free-to-play ones better with their support. Like, this Frieza is a support with damage reduction. He's only a free-to-play. These guys are only SSRs right now. They could get Awakenings at some point and be decent. Hellfighter 17 came out with them. He just recently got an EZA, and he's actually fairly solid. I think that free-to-play Hellfighter 17 is a decent character. No, like, I'm not bullshitting. Like, he's decent. So these guys, I mean, I think they're just, they're butt, right? Like, they're not really going to help too much, and besides very specific situations. But I think in the future, these guys, they could be pretty good. I think, like, a GT Cell and GT Frieza as, like, an LR, Yellow Coin LR, the two of them in one card, could be something that could be kind of fun in the future, right? But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of this GT EZA Frieza here. Alright, this is Thundering Wrath from Hell Frieza, Final Form GT. Leader skills, extreme physical type, key 3, and 110% to stats. 110% is a weird number. I mean, I guess you could use them for Battlefield, huh? 110? You could do that in Battlefield for sure. That could be useful for some players, right? For sure. His super attack is the Hell Buster, which raises defense by 30% for 1 turn, supreme damage to the enemy, and then a high chance to stun. High chance to stun, of course, is always good. His passive skill, Evil Intensified in Hell. He gets 2 key and 150% attack and defense at the start of turn. Then he gets an additional 100% attack and defense from performing a super attack, and launches an additional super attack when all allies attacking in the same turn are GT bosses, sworn enemy, or revenge category characters. Now, again, the multiplicative buff and the additional super are both tied to the restriction. So what that means is this character is unrunnable unless you are just flooded with those characters. GT bosses, sworn enemies, or revenge. The good news is that pretty much all Friezas are on sworn enemies. You know, like some of the coolers and stuff like that are on revenge. So, you know, metal cooler is, so like, you know, you could work around it a bit. And then finally, Frieza gets an extra 150% attack and super effective against all types if the enemy is sealed, which is something that could be effective in, again, probably Battlefield or Super Battle Road, but against the really tough fights, not really going to help. But, I mean, that's the thing. Like, GT bosses characters are all, like, seemingly built like this with all the debuffs and stuff like that. Like, at a certain point, like, some of those could be good, but, like, we need just, like, a strong powerhouse, which is what Omega should have been, right? GT Frieza's link set here is Prodigies, Universe's Most Malevolent, Shocking Speed, Strongest Clan in Space, Nightmare, GT, and Shattering the Limit. 12 key multiplier is 150%. Okay. That's high. I mean, that's, again, that's the same number that we would see even from, like, whatchamacallit, like Dokkan Fest and stuff like that. So, I guess that was all the way back in 2018 when they came out. So, I mean, they still, I mean, how do I say it? I guess they hadn't really gotten uniform, and kind of like a lot of the things they do now, again, I would say are very, like, kind of like uniform in how they operate, right? Where it's like, oh, like, band units are typically at 140%, stuff like that. This guy having a 150%, okay, sure. And then finally, GT Frieza's on several teams. Transformation Boost. I really would hope to see a villain leader for Transformation Boost come out. I think that could be very good. Frieza's also on the Wicked Bloodline team, of course. Frieza is also over here on the Target Goku category team. Okay, that's fine. Then Frieza is over here on Otherworld Warrior. That's a very, very niche category, huh? Then Frieza, of course, is also on the Revenge category team, which is good. Frieza is also on Gifted Warriors here. Sure. Then Frieza's on GT Bosses. I mean, there cannot be a more frustrating category in the game than GT Bosses. Ugh, makes me sick. And then finally, Frieza's on the Sworn Enemy category. Sworn Enemy, I think, is another category that could very easily potentially turn into, like, a decent team. I mean, I don't know. I guess if we look at this, I mean, this is a 2020 character, so I guess Sworn Enemies don't get characters that often, huh? Yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. Like, they gotta put some love into building up some of these teams again, man. Like, these, you just look at, like, anything that's not, like, a Saiyan team is just, like, dead right now. Like, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of GT Frieza. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time.